Hey, hey, hey. What's up, what's up, what's up, what's up, what's up? What's popular YouTube? Another day, another demo. And we are now really into the thick of things. You thought things were getting hairy on day 7 with Godtronic coming in and now wondering where the rest of your favorite players are going to fit into the mix. Well, things will get even more complicated after today. And it has been a long time since we've done any kind of news on this channel. Usually it's just like the last few days, the intros have just been all about the player of the day. But before we talk about anything else today, we've got to discuss the fact that FaZe is no longer coaching Cloud9. Wow. You can see he put on as much merch as possible to get out the door. Jokes aside, this is a pretty big deal. Yeah, so this is the announcement. I don't know if there's anything bigger to this. We're sad to announce that CSGO C9 is parting ways with head coach FaZe. So for those of you who don't know, this is formerly the coach of 100 Thieves, and his roots in Counter-Strike go way back. Like he has been definitely a developing figure in the scene that has developed talent over in Europe as well as in NA. But this is an interesting piece of news because this was a big roster that he came into. Cloud9 have done a very good job this year, I would say, in terms of after flopping on their entrance at losing Outtro at Flashpoint to like Virtus Pro and whoever else it was, have really recovered, and they're now in the 22 spot in the world, and I think they're in contention with top 5 teams. And are definitely a threat at Tier 1 tournaments to win the whole thing. So I feel like overall, they've had a pretty impressive run since Flashpoint, and this is a pretty interesting deal. Now, of course, there's this most recent result, I guess, that happened that I didn't even know about. Their loss to FaZe, but apparently, let's read the tweet here from Henry G. Today, we say goodbye to CSGO head coach FaZe. No one is or was at fault, and there is absolutely no bad blood between him, the org, or the players. It simply felt that there was somewhat of a stylistic clash between IGL Alex and FaZe's game, leading to a few too many compromises from a strategic point of view. With the player break here, I've decided that it was in everyone's best interest to move in a different direction and prepare for the next season. Thanks to FaZe for laying the foundations for the team, and we wish you all the best. I am still deciding on which path to follow regarding the position. Considering the recent controversy around this role, my options are rather limited. Also, I think coaching is still a bit of a dark art, as we haven't quite harnessed when it comes to CSGO. With that said, I am absolutely willing to take a gamble on someone looking to prove themselves at the very top. I like that open-ended statement at the end. If you're capable of the responsibility, you know where to find me. And with that, I would like to announce. No, I'm just kidding. So, what is the deal here with the coach system? Okay, so my personal thoughts first of all. Number one, I think from what I've heard from Alex and the way he talks about CS, I mean, he has a real understanding of the system he wants and the way that he looks at CS, and he's very confident about it. And clearly, the dispute between him and FaZe, it's going to lean more towards Alex, as he's actually in the server and has to do all of the calling, and I think relies on FaZe or whoever the coach would be to be a support system. Now, this kind of system is a little bit scary because of the fact that this means that the players have more power when the coach should be the guy who has absolute power over the players. This is a better system, I feel like. Otherwise, everything revolves around one. And you might have, even on Astralis, even though Zonic has all the power, Device, he might be worth more to the organization than Zonic is. Like, it's hard to say. But in that system, they are proud to say that Zonic has the power to cut them. I think they wear that like a badge of honor. They have a relationship with Zonic. They trust him. He's there where he's there for them. He's been there since the beginning. He helps a lot. And yeah, he's not the guy putting up numbers in the server, but they have this reverence across the board for each other. And I think that's a huge reason why the system works so well. But how many Zonics are there? How many players are there that you can, how many people are there that you can really hand over the keys to stay on top of the current game in CSGO at the top level, to assist a top level IGL who, you know, who gets to be in the server in the meta? Like every single player that has come into retirement off the desk within months will tell you that they feel insecure about their knowledge about the game because of how much things change just month to month. And this stuff is very hard to see from the outside. You have to, when you're playing, it's very easy. For a lot of us, the very fastest way to learn. And then when you're on the outside, you constantly have to confer with people who are in it. Like, what is the detail about this one smoke that people throw, or like this one, you know, push that people keep doing? This is something that it's so much easier for the IGL, not as easy for the coach, and especially not one that maybe, you know, either has been removed from a specific meta, like in the sense that he was coaching 100 Thieves over in NA, or if if it's just in any situation, right? I'm just talking about in general how hard it is to find coaches that would be comfortable to coach at the level of like Astralis or even Cloud9, who right now again are contending to be in the top 5 or top 10. And I think that just poses a very difficult problem for Cloud9 and for teams in the future, where you'd love to have a Zonic, give him the keys and tell him he can cut anybody, and then there you don't have you don't have a player who has too much power, and then a team that could really rot to the core because the players have the power and they also have the implicit biases when it comes to the conversations. Like, the real good thing about having a coach and a good coach and one that you trust is that if the coach makes a decision about a player, it feels less personal than if the player makes a decision about another player, right? Where you're all contributing in the server in every single round to win the round. So if a top player in a round is giving out criticism to another player and they have lots of power in the organization, they can really change what happens to that player mentally, or, you know, it just and can just change, you know, their position on the team, or like, you know, threaten the security of them on the team. Whereas if a coach does it, they're not attached to the emotions of any individual call that's made. Nothing is made against them. They are just the omnipotent power that watches from above and has kind of an even look at every perspective. And yes, coaches will have biases too, but you can see it's one step removed from actually being a player within the server. But as talked about, you can't always, it's not as in an ideal world, there's a Zonic at every turn, but an X-Taz, right? Maybe he's coach of the year. Honestly, I think he would be. But you know, how many of those are there? Kassad clearly didn't leave that same impression with Alex or with the system. So now that leaves Cloud9 in a very difficult spot. Now, I know I always joke about like coaching and stuff like that myself, and I think somewhere down the line, I think I would want to be a coach. I feel like I honestly think I'd be a natural at it. I think there's a lot for me to learn, of course, and I have so much respect for the coaches that have to just like go through everything with one team and learn with them, and like you've got to deal with players individually. You've got to help with meta analysis. You've got to help with a lot of stuff you're just putting a lot of stuff on your shoulders. I mean, it's not an easy job whatsoever. But for right now, I'm very happy and grateful for my position, and I don't have the aspiration to think about actually coaching a roster, going down that route. I've been asked in the past, but it's something I turned down. You know, I get paid well to be a caster. I'm happy to have free time and do content, and to not be on a one org kind of schedule all year round. It doesn't seem appealing to me much. I feel like when I started working in CS, I was, I wanted to be a player, and then I played like, a season of main, very good season, finished, and then I started casting, and then I had scheduling conflicts, and then I always resented casting because I was like, man, I wish I just kept playing and tried to see if I could be a player. But after a while, I mean, now I'm really grateful. Like, I feel like I love casting. I can go to events. I can't get eliminated from the event on day one and have to go home. I get to, spend my days off looking around as opposed to practicing after the games. There's not so many emotions for me as I would if there's a player. Bigger payout emotionally for being a player or coach, right? You win and you just get paid more and everything like that, but lower lows as well. So I kind of like the balance that I have as a caster. I'm very happy with my job, and yeah, it's not something that I'm genuinely, I might troll online and stuff, but it's not something I'm thinking about, at least for this year. But anyways, that's all I wanted to talk about when it comes to coaching. It's an interesting thing. I think we do need more good coaches, but they're hard to come by, and it's something that it's going to be a role that, you know, more and more people who don't have experience playing CSGO will be able to come in and become top coaches. And there will just be a gestation period when they get on that opportunity with a top team where they have to learn all the things that the players already know, but they can still offer so much by not being a player and being on the roster. And so it feels like just coaches are so important now. I was very hesitant to believe that coaches mattered a lot. Now I 100% believe they matter a lot. They matter a lot. And it'll be interesting to see what Cloud9 decide to do differently in the future. But anyways, now to talk about who comes in after we've got Ziwu number one, or Ziwu Simple number one. We've got who's number 3? Device is number 3. We've got Nico number 4, Rops number 5, Blame F number 6, Godtronic number 7, and who's number 8? Well, this is a player in an op-centric meta. We've got a litany of oppers that are making it into the top 10. Teams like Liquid are falling behind because they don't have a dedicated opper. Everybody who's anybody at this stage of CS in 2020 has been relying on very standout oppers to carry them through their big events. And there are so many players at this part of the top 10 list that are so close statistically that when we look at previous iterations of these lists, there are going to be multiple appearances from players from the same teams in the top 5, because that's how, you know, these are the players who are playing cream of the crop matches, games not won by just one player. There's, you know, there's going to be lots of overlap with terms of, you know, how many appearances we get from different players on the same team in the top 10. But this is a player who is trying to interrupt that, okay? He's on a team that achieved a lot this year. They've stood out from the pack at different portions. At the beginning of the year, did not play at the highest level, but still performed at the highest level. So it kind of gives and takes away from the value of the statistics. But even when you take him into the big matches versus the best teams, his stats do not drop off that much. He's a player who has high peaks that we talk about, and we have even called him the best scout player in the world. Maybe you have an idea of who this man is now. That's right. It's Mr. Searson. We're going to go ahead and look at Searson, our top eight player in 2020 as a prediction for HLTV's top 20 players of 2020. Searson is somebody who, in this list, I was just trying to figure out what place is he in. Somebody in a comment the other day said, what about Xantares? What about Searson? Big had an era this year. I will very firmly put my foot down and say that Big did not have an era this year. I think that we have to, as Counter-Strike fans, as Counter-Strike analysts, as Counter-Strike enthusiasts, we have to have reverence for the fact that with all of the history in our game, we cannot throw around terms like era, okay? We can't throw around terms like best or greatest. We have so much data and so many years behind it, and this is the value of being invested in a scene like Counter-Strike that has so much history, is that we don't need to be fickle, right? When we say that somebody is the greatest of all time, or the best of this year, or the best on this gun, we can point to so many statistics, so much data, so much history, so many really tense rivalries, and be pretty sure it comes down to one or two people for sure. We don't have a game where people get replaced. A new 16-year-old talent will replace a top player. We have a game where 22, the average age of major winners is like 22, 23, 24 plus, right? That the players who are winning all of the majors in early CS:GO were 1.6 players that have been playing for 5 to 7 years or something like that, right? This is a game with a storied history, and when someone breaks in, whether it's a player or a team, it should be looked at like when we talk about the somebody who's contending for a belt in boxing or the UFC. If they are going to split decision, tie it up, basically even points, the decision should always go to the champ, right? Because if a champ is to get taken down, it should not be by somebody who will get taken down by somebody else right after, right? The reason that Astralis get the respect of us believing that they'll be able to bounce back is because of 3 years of proof that they can survive basically anything. The roaches of CS:GO in the most respectful way possible. These guys have survived a microwave or a nuke, And when we talk about Big Clan and we talk about Searson, I think some people feel like we don't give them as much respect as they deserve for what they accomplished this year. And that's because we don't want to be fickle, okay? As analysts, listen, as fans can say anything. Because fans can disappear when the going gets tough. Fans can come in when it's an opportune moment, and they can be like, this is I already said this is who's going to be the best, or this is my prediction, or whatever, and then disappear when they're not right. The analysts are the ones who aren't there to call whenever there's going to be an upset. That's not the idea. The idea is to be right 80% of the time about things that we should already know, to deliver those storylines to people who may be just tuning in to watch the game. Not for every 40% upset to be the one that gets explained as like, this is why I think this crazy result is going to happen every single time there's a chance, because there is always a chance, right? That's for the fans to do. It's for the fans to be fickle, to jump around to their next big bet over here and over there. And it's for the analysts and the people who are taking these, the history of these teams and players seriously. That means anybody who wants to have respect for the fact that like you have to give credit to those who have already proved it. You know what I mean? If two teams come into Inferno. Now, if a team comes in to play Astralis on Inferno and Astralis have a 95% win rate on the map, and some people are like, well, this team has just beat every team in this tournament, like surely they should win. But Astralis don't lose on Inferno versus any tier 2 competition, then you have to pick Astralis. That is the reasonable thing to do, right? No matter what has happened on their way to fighting Astralis are the favorite in that match. That's how that should work. It might even feel brave to make that prediction because we've just seen like the reign of terror that this up and coming tier 2 team has made. I'm actually talking about Gambit. I realize like in their run, we have to respect Gambit for what they've accomplished this year, but they haven't played that many tier 1 teams in matches. When they played Astralis, they did well at first and then they lost. And then they did that again in 2 maps. And they took down at DreamHack Masters, Complexity, and Cloud9 in the same event. But when it came to Astralis, they came to fight them on 2 of their strongest maps. You still had to assume that Astralis were going to be able to take it, right? And this is just something that's really important. And so I don't want to say that, I want to make sure that we're clear. We can both have respect for Big and what they've accomplished this year. But when we talk about teams like Big and Heroic and Gambit and stuff, and all of the stuff that they've done and promise that they've shown, they haven't shown us that they can last a full year or 2. That they are better when they're ranked number 1 in the world than Astralis and Vitality and whoever else. Right? We just don't throw that around. So that's why it's really, really important to take everything with a grain of salt, and the amazing results that we've seen in a very ephemeral amount of time, and realize that that's what they are. They're good results, but they could be a flash, and it's only time that will prove otherwise. But beyond all of that noise, that I've just put down, I want to say, overall, through and through, why I was hesitant about where to put Searson in this year largely came down to not because his results were fantastic, even at big events, right? The only issue was picking him over other players who had stronger starts at the beginning of the year because of the tournaments that they played. There was less, I think, in total good or tier 1 events that we had Searson playing at, but we even had like, I mean, I don't even know what teams are in here, but 1.9 rating. Let's see what matches are being played here. Oh, this is just versus Spirit. Well, they actually trounced them. But yeah, like stuff like that, you know, there's going to be one-off events. There's going to be some tier 2 events and everything like that. But when it came to everything important and some deep runs and high placings for the team, Searson was there. He was clearly, he answered the question. You know, is he clearly, when you look at Searson, having incredible impact? Yes. Did he have a tournament that you just can't forget from this year? Yes. DreamHack Masters Spring, where they won and beat G2 in the final, and Searson was insane on some of these maps. And like I think it was, you know, it's spotty. He didn't get MVP at the tournament, but we remember it, right? This is the same simple effect, the same Ziwu effect. This is why we're talking about Searson. And you know, just on what we remember from the big events that he played, and then looking back and cross-referencing that with the actual stats, you got to give him the green light. This guy really earned his position in this year as a big name on a team that had flashes of brilliance and found some level of consistency in a very tumultuous time. And this is, this is hard to find out where he was, but now how close he was to all of these. He was always in the conversation for the top 10, in my opinion. But you know, where exactly was the very difficult part. So Searson, yes, this is the match. This is the man that we want to watch. The match that I wanted to watch is kind of interesting because I actually originally was going to go ahead and take a Nuke game because Searson has always been like kind of a special player on Nuke. But this is an off game by him in this final. I was going to take Mirage actually on this game and look at the CT side because he went 28-10, which is pretty outstanding. And Searson at first, I think, so we talked about some negatives about all these players as well, right? One of the negatives about Searson, in my opinion, is that his T-sides always seem very lackluster. Even if he caught kills, it never really, it was kind of the Brokey problem. You notice how we got farther into Brokey week? I feel like I built up, like, I liked Brokey less the more demos I watched of him. I was like, I kind of wished he would do a little bit more. And I feel like Searson is like that on the T side sometimes. Like Brokey had the ability to instantly punish anybody who made a mistake, but wasn't always willing to take a risk to open up the round. And I feel like that made it feel like he could be rifling instead of opping. Now Searson on CT side always feels like he's a necessary component. He is like amazing and always putting up impact. But on the T sides, it felt like he could fall off. You know, last year, the beginning of this year, he could fall off completely in the first half on T side and then get like 15 to 20 kills in the second half and win the game. That was the big clan. And it was always because of Searson, for better or worse. But here's a game on Nuke where he actually has a very good T side half. And I kind of wanted to just take a look at it and see, you know, why it was good as we kind of spend the next 20 or so minutes celebrating Searson. So why don't we go ahead, open up the game, and check out what is a pretty good T side here for our number 8 player of 2020. And honestly, I'm very uncomfortable about the predictions as they stand, just because it feels like it's just so close between a lot of the players, and I don't really know who's going to get pulled up from their overall stats because of specific performances and who isn't. But doing my best. My condolences to the HLTV staff who have to make these final decisions. Okay, so some progress being made here from Big. And you know what? Another thing, Searson's sensitivity is incredibly high. It's well above Simple's. I think it's like roughly the equivalent of 3.7 sensitivity at 400. Something really, really high, which is quite cool. And I feel like my volume is actually a little bit low, so Why don't I go ahead and turn that up? I'm just going to edit this really quickly. I have a CFG that basically mutes the volume. That mutes the volume. That mutes the volume when I fast forward like this. That's pretty cool. Thank you, Nathan, for that. All right, so we're going to go up top. We get the Mac 10 in the heavens. And I don't know if we're going to see an op. Sometimes, you know, we go over to T side and people don't op. I think Nuke is a map where people, it's where people will op. It's not all the time. The only issue with opping on T side is that you lack mobility. Sometimes you have an opper and you want to play around that opper. But if you don't have a good T side opper, you don't want to like buy one for that guy because it's just going to slow you down. Now this is such a great, I love like this kind of strat. So we could see, number one, we got one smoke mini and one smoke for hell. And look at Searson's creating so much space here, right? Because now they got the big garage kill, they're crossing lower, and they have outside locked down. So there's no information for the CTs to get when spotting them on this cross. Now Searson set up for a lurk. Just think about this round if Searson didn't exist. And I'm not crediting anyone could do this, right? Jump around, fly around to the back of hell. But just the strat itself. Think about if anybody, if Searson or whoever this is wasn't here, and you were just crossing into secret, you'd be so low on options. And we'll see how this round plays out. But just him existing opens up this round entirely. And it does come down to if they spot him, and it looks like they're trying to play off of his information. And of course, this is just versus pistols. But look at that rotation. It's actually, oh, it's the force up too. Whoa, what a shot from PMAS. Holy crap, I didn't even see it. That's why we like these POV demos. Holy crap, that was insane. But you see that? Searson gets the kill on ramp plus info on the second guy who's there. They know that lower's open because BMAS would be the first rotator down. So they just have to beat him. We're throwing the good Molotov. So Alexi Bisha actually showed this Molotov in a video recently, where if you bounce it that way, it mollies everything behind the box as well as credit card. Some people throw it directly into the credit card, but it's better to try to bounce it onto that wall because it gets more value. So let's see how the same lurk actually works out this time. And sometimes when you see plays like this, it can be based on the demo. Like, oh, they always leave this gap open on the CT side. Or this is something that people aren't exploiting. And this is part of the reason that Big were so good. They are a very good upset team because they always seem so prepared. The game plan was just very pragmatic to what the other team, they know the other team does. It felt like Big Clan always came into games with seemingly less talent than their opponents overall, with the exception of Searson and Xantares and maybe Tabson, you know, for a big portion of the year. And still were able to take down teams like, you know, like G2, Astralis, Vitality, some very, very big upsets. And it's no disrespect to the players on Big whatsoever. I have good things to say about, I mean, I'd put Tizian on the top 20 list of players who had up and coming year. Like, I expect a lot from Tizian going into next year. And he's a player who the stats don't say everything for him. But someone we know is definitely amazing in this kind of final leg of the year in the winter. Okay. And I've heard people say that Keto is one of the best players, up-and-coming players in Germany, which is, you know, that's super high praise. So no disrespect at all. But, you know, I want to think about that in the sense that, like, even Device says, with his team right behind him, listening, that G2 are the most stacked team in terms of talent in Europe. So as long as people can be honest about these conversations, then we can have healthy discussions without taking anything personally. But I think it's only a positive to be able to say that a team is, oh, please tell me this gets a kill. To be able to say that a team wins games versus super top teams with less talent. I think that's pretty impressive. I think I'd rather be that than the other way around, than, you know, like FaZe Clan or something. Have all the talent in the world, but just like can't win. How absurd is it that you could actually have like Nika, Coldzera on the same team at any point in history with Olaf and like it and Guard, like it's just insane that you just weren't winning every single event, right? Like it's just the greatest anomaly in the history of CS. Like the narrative now is like, oh, there's this problem or this player is slightly falling off. It doesn't make sense, guys. It doesn't make sense. They should have been the best player of all time and had an era that never stopped, and that like, and we wouldn't be talking about, oh, well now, yeah, Coldzera's, he's getting a little bit old, or like, none of that bullshit would ever come into the narratives, right? There is just no excuse having that much talent. And especially, like, look at what Big were able to accomplish even this year. All right, so quick pickup by Searson, a fantastic trade on Rain. I forgot we were even talking about FaZe Clan while talking about a FaZe Clan demo. Wow, that is a scary smoke to have to throw. But, yeah, it just connects this doorway to the silo for the plant. Still a risk of getting spammed, but once it's down, everything's cool. See, Searson's holding this. Kind of a wide angle. I wonder if it gets shouldered or not. And there's always a chance that somebody walks up from a secret to the right. He's not even bothering to look for that. We can see how important Searson's position is. He has this strong diagonal across the B site, plus he has the vent flank as well. And an interesting rotation in. He actually comes into the site. Wow. Oh my goodness, what a play. This is actually so big from Searson. And, oh, I kind of wish they killed Tizian. So that is, see, that's the kind of money play that you want to see, right, on a T side from a player like Searson. That's a risk that someone would not take because you wouldn't necessarily need to. You could sit in decon and be there, and if you got smoked out and lost the round, no one would blame you. But instead, we see a world where he has tons of impact. He gets out there, it looks dangerous, but he plays it very cool. He plays off of his teammate. Where'd that smoke go? Did it just go through the fence? It was supposed to land up close here, I think, to help them clear out the back of Mini. Did it go over the fence or through the fence, or am I insane? Or did that bounce to back of red? Now, Searson was very good at punishing shoulder peaks. Like, just, point blank, he had very, very good reactions and reflexes to keep up with the best. And I think on maps like CT side Nuke, he showed that he was kind of like maybe the best scout player of the year. I'd say, Poison was giving him a run for his money. Simple as you, of course, but I think Searson was probably the best scout player of the year, which is kind of extraordinary. How many rounds he won with scout headshots on these like eco rounds. So, yeah, once again, it's about how much space you got in this position. It's a bit risky that he can get flanked from Secret, but I guess they're versus pistols once again. And we've got the lore control going on. Now it's 3v3, so things get interesting. He probably shouldn't have the bomb in this position, but he is in a nice spot to try to duel versus ramp if he'd like to. And we're going to... Oh, he's not going to molly out dark. He's going to save it. Interesting. He's worried about it. He does have the Molotov, but he seems to want to think about mollying the bomb later on instead. Or, okay, I guess just molly out the ramp. It's delaying for time. No one's pushing in. And he'll be able to escape as well. Trying to punish whatever he can. Nobody shows up. And that is around one and done. 5-1 up. We have the door blown up open for Searson, so he can pick into Mini. Nobody's here. Always risk of getting spammed back. And what is the deal? It's actually, I just said that, like, it is, maybe not the best position for Searson to have the bomb, but Oppers are carrying the bomb for a long time now. I actually don't know exactly what the idea is for that to be, like, so common, but, players like Fallen have been carrying the bomb on all the rifle rounds. It feels like since the beginning of time. Sometimes it feels like they get stuck with it, but when you see the bomb on radar, like in spawn on Dust 2, the op like picking, and you're just like, wait. I always wondered why this was so choice, or became so popular. Of course, the primary issue is giving up a position. Ooh, there's a foot. Oh, what the hell was that? He looked like he was straight up spinning. But he gets punished nonetheless. Powerful setup here. I like the squeaky inside squeaky setup with the op on mini as well. So much pressure that they put on this to re-smoke it, to not peek it. I'm a big fan of this op rifle combination. And yes, it is time for a ramp push. Let's see, it looks like it comes. And that's it. They just take the open ramp and go for it. Skip ahead. Solid beginning. So far we've seen very balanced play here. He goes for the pre-fire. We're not seeing anybody, but that opening kill is everything. And BMass is getting owned on the ramp. So this is a big way into the round here for Big Clan. And that's the end of the round. Not even necessary for him. Now, of course, people just put up worse stats on T side. It never looks as good as CT sides where you can multi-frag from a certain spot, get like, you know, a 16-1 score line or something like that. But on T side, it's always a little bit more scrappier, a few more deaths, a bit more consistent where the kills come from. You have to be more dynamic on T side. So we should start looking at some more T sides that are, even if they're a bit more scrappy with a bit more, they're a bit less standout in terms of how steep the score lines are. Just to get a better understanding of how these players are moving around on their T sides. Like Bubsky's T side on Nuke is something that I want to look at. Spent a lot of time looking at his CT side. And here, always the battle for the Opera on the T side is finding a way to be useful without being stupid, right? Like, it's so difficult to know when you need to be able to push up and get information, or hold something, or, you know, be the one to peek. Oh my god, I think he just got double dinged. Just to show you how insane Nico is sometimes. Gonna skip ahead. Big has slowing it down quite a bit. No one's peeking this. And Big have really slowed it all the way down. They have a... They do this a lot, honestly. I personally think they need to work on their T sides a little bit in this perspective, where they're going back to an old style of CS where they're just waiting out the clock just for the one. Oh my god, he actually just ran through that Molotov. Holy, that's a way to punish. So of course, Nico's not going to be watching the run through the Molotov, because who would run through that? Playing outside, he's looking for the back of Mini, trying to get his lurk off. That is pretty ridiculous. They'd be upset about that one, but look at the space that's created. You got to like that from Searson. That does change my opinion of what he was capable of on T side, even back here in at DreamHack Masters Spring. It's a ballsy move that they absolutely needed. But yeah, the ethos for the T side of Big Clan is like sometimes just wait to 20 seconds for no reason, and then. Well, the reason is just to make it like a very scary rotation point for the CT. So if you throw one fake, they don't have time to go back and forth. So the punishment gets heavier, but the risk is higher for you too, right? Because you have less time to get into a site, clear out angles properly. Okay, so Searson tries to get that early opening. There's one. He can't really... I don't know if he can molly this because of the smoke, but we'll see. Oh my god. No way he got that. Wait, did he? Oh, Jesus. Oh, man, imagine. And that smoke would have came up as well. If he had got this last kill, then it just comes down to the molly play and he wins. That was dirty. He specifically peeked while getting blind on purpose. Because if he peeks before, they're going to be holding it right to the last millisecond. If he peeks after, they're going to be turned back and they kill him. He has to take a risk of, like, actually hitting a shot blind. Like, he knows he's going to be blind in that spot. Like, you might think, no, he just missed the timing. No, he knows he's going to get blind. This is the risk you have to take. So this is a This is a fake walk outside, of course. They throw the close smokes, but then they're trying to wait for someone to clear. See Searson is staying scope. They're trying to wait for someone to clear from the back of big and across. And now they're just using this to run. Nico is there waiting for them. And it's a slight punishment. Now they've made quite a bit of space in return, right? So the rotation's not coming down quite yet in through the vent. And now the only issue for the T's is getting too spread thin, right? You'd love to have someone holding the vent, holding control, holding decon, holding ramp, and then one person gets in the site. But, you know, it's not possible when you've only got 3 players. And sometimes you need people to trade. So we faked the plant to try to bait some nades out, but it's not a free gamble. They used one of their very few smokes, and that might have been an opportunity that they needed to take right there. So their smoke starts to dissipate. And Searson still has his Molotov. He's been very good about keeping this Molotov around for a long time. And Xanteris and Tabson, well, they're making a case for it. They don't even need Searson here. He's doing quite well. Holy, the drop-in, no scope on the Brokey. Absolutely holds his nerve. Doesn't know where the last player is coming from. Just want to go quiet for a second. You know Searson's going to win this for sure. Oh, man. Just waits it out. Gold Zero tries to go for the timing when Searson thinks that it's control room, and it's punished. Nasty. With the drop-in no-scope as well. Here's a shot that gets missed. Every time they throw these smokes, we're having the same one player. Someone, Searson, Tabson, Xanteris come out and wrap heaven in one way or another. It's all that information. All just power. But Nico's got the books. Nico's been in a pretty good spot, usually, when it's come to holding secret or playing, you know, right here playing back and spawn to punish this lurk. It's always been the right idea. Of course, you're a bit hamstrung being back here. It's a bit scary to rotate in, but that one kill should be huge, right? And you can still peek after. And you can see how they're playing around him. It's kind of negatively affecting the situation. Holy. Wow. I mean, it looks easy. He made it look easy. And how are we going to play off of this? Now it's a 4-3, 4-2 for big, 4-1, and a round 1, 11-3. We're seeing the impact here for sure. Oh, holy hell. Wait, what? Hey, no, I went back, not forward, didn't it? I just want to look at it one more time. I know it's the last round of the half. Come on, demo. I didn't even see. Oh. He actually jumped up into the wall and someone strafed out. Oh my god. That's so sick. That was just the game. That was just the game. That was just the half over. Okay. That was too easy. Wow, that's Searson. Handing over the number 8 spot. Congratulations, Searson. If you have any complaints about that, I don't care. No, I'm just kidding. I'd love to hear what you guys think, and where you think the list is still going to go. It's fun. It's fun reading the comments. Appreciate the likes, the subscriptions, and everything like that. Crawling up to 100K, and yeah, you guys are awesome. You guys make my day way better. No comments, no launders. That's the way I see it. Thank you guys, and I'll see you tomorrow for number 9.